Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Shear Chat. I am your host. I have applause that comes in, but welcome to another edition of Shear Chat. We have the comedy antics of Tony Anthony Wesley in the background this evening, Jeffrey Brown in the background, and I have my I was about to say my ghost. My host, excuse me, not even my host, my guest. Yes. Oh my goodness, I need to get it together. My guest for the evening. Sorry. See what I'm saying? Comedy antics. My guest for the evening is Miss Rachel Gaskins.
Hello, hello.
And, you know, Rachel and I go back some time. So I can't even remember when we actually met. It's been some years, though.
My gosh, years.
It's been some years. But I'll just say I met Rachel, like many of you out there, through Bennett Career Institute. So, Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I am a cosmetologist. I was a shop owner. I am now transformed into a stylist, you know, transformed into a tax preparation company.
See?
So I have evolved.
Exactly. And you know what the funny thing is? I was talking to Mr. Bennett today, and I was telling him, I said, you know who I have on tonight. And so he was like, yeah. And then as we talked, he said, but you know, one of the things that I love about her, she is a go-getter. You know, she is one of those people that is not afraid to jump out and do something. Yes. She's not going to sit complacent. She's always going to be moving and shaking. So I said, absolutely. And then I thought about it. That is like one of the things that drew me to your personality back then, because I love fun girls. All of the girls that I hang with are fun girls. So I love a fun girl, and you are definitely that.
Thank you so much. Shout out to Mr. Bennett, because he used to be like, girl, when you going to sleep?
And see, that's what we were talking about, always doing something, but which is good, because we have to be that way. Even in the beauty industry, we can never sit complacent. We always have to keep moving, evolving with the trends, and, you know, just like you said, evolving with businesses.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what inspired you to go into the beauty industry.
What inspired me to go into the beauty industry was when I was younger. I was a young mom with my boys, me working a regular job and probably doing school too. And I started doing hair on the weekends. Okay. And before that time, I always dipped and dabbled with it, but I always found myself being very selective. I'm a hardcore June baby. So it's like I'm very picky. Right. So when they were young, I started doing hair just on the weekends just for additional money. With the styling came after that, because if people that know me that grew up, I was such a tomboy. Okay. So I was very basic, like just.
And see, you would never guess that. You know, looking at her now, and see, I love all of this. First of all, everybody knows I love a little sparkle, baby. I love a sparkle. So when I saw her come through the door today, I was like, that's it. I'm ready. I'm ready. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was such a tomboy. I was just like, and it ain't like, you know, I'm one of those ones where I like to take baby steps and things. So with my style, I would try out stuff, and it started there. So my eye got a little more better, and I just got a little more, you know, curious with it. And then I started doing hair. Okay. I was always intrigued with just natural hair and the doing the weavings and the buying the hair itself and the extensions. So that started it. I still worked a regular job. I still went to school. Still had my young boys. I started going to hair school, as you know, part-time. Right. And once I got there, I am just that one where I always see me being a part or being the business. Like, I didn't see me just behind the chair. I saw me running the business. Right. And by me, I think my managerial experience with that also kind of helped boost that as well. You know, the managerial and you working as an executive assistant in the office, and you're help running a business. You're seeing the business grow, so that's going to always intrigue you. So I started there. Once it's funny. Once I got into hair school, I just jumped out and said, "Well, I'm going to get a salon." Right. Didn't know anything that I had to get this license, that license.
You just wanted to be the owner.
I wanted to be the owner of a salon. And how it worked out was, I want to say in 2005, 2006, found a space. This is how unique I always tell people it can be when you have a goal, you have a dream, you pray on it, and you move on it, and things just fall into place. Jumped out there, found a space. At that time, I wasn't even fully licensed. But that particular year, they were exempting.
Okay.
So with that being said, we going to Bennett's institution, and with my clientele, I was doing hair since 2000. I got exempt. So bam, I found a space, found a building, and I'm gonna jump out there. Didn't know I needed a managerial license to go along with it. Found a young lady. She was just there for 2 months to do it. And the irony with that is, you have a salon, you have a business, you want to run it a certain way, but you're meeting someone that I have the license.
Right.
I've been in here, this long. And in 2 months when I got exempt, it was a managerial license.
Right.
So,
which was good.
Which was good. So I say all that to say, with any adversity that I've met with business, I will still continue to kind of just move on. Like if something doesn't work, I'm going to the next avenue. If something isn't working, I'm going to the next avenue. I mean, yeah, I kind of watch it because you don't want to be a jack of many things.
Right.
And many trades is a master of none. But, that right there, that drive just kept me going with the business.
But you know what? I think when you are creative, you can do that. And I look at a lot of the things that I do, and I say, Rashawn, you are all over the place, right? It's like, what are you trying to do? But it's being creative from within. All of those things trying to come out.
Yes.
And you're trying to find an avenue that will make you happy and like where you can fully release all of those things.
Yes.
Like for me, I never thought about the beauty industry growing up, but I knew I wanted to sew. And the idea came from, I couldn't find clothes that fit me the way I wanted them to fit.
Gotcha.
So I was always slim. So I said, you know what? I need to be a designer because I need to make clothes for skinny people. At the time, guys were wearing, the baggy. And I was like, everything is it's so much fabric.
Right.
I need to cut this down. Lo and behold, H&M and Zara beat me to it.
Right.
But I said, that was the natural progression from being a designer going into hair, now doing makeup. So you have that whole beauty thing, all encompassed in one.
Right. That and the business sense.
Absolutely.
Because that's what kept me kind of gravitating to something different if one avenue wasn't
didn't work
working
out.
or that wasn't successful. With the salon, I had the main building. I downsized a year later, and then this is what I found. So we're in 2008, close to 2009, and we're in the recession. So I noticed that some of my clients were at the point where they could not even pay for service. So already in my mind beforehand, I had always spoken like, the tax thing, the accounting thing, I was very familiar with. And I jokingly probably said, one day I'm gonna open up me a tax business, Once the recession came, it became a little more evident that, you know what, maybe I need to kind of look into that because I know that's an avenue that's not going to be that's not going to be hard to kind of fade out. That's going to be a consistent need and a necessary service. So I want to say 2009 and 10, I put in my mind that that's what I was going to do. Now, I didn't actually start moving on it until 2000, the end of 12 and 13, and I'll tell you why. As working moms or as a busy person in the city, it's not so much of a procrastination. It's just that we put it on a to-do list.
Right.
And I am one of those ones that God has to push hard, like that, because push into it. Because I'm fitting to do it. That's all that does me. I'm fitting to do it. And my youngest son started college in 2000. Well, before I go to that point, I was working for a pharmaceutical company. I was a manager there. of customer service department, and it was always me going into place, and I'm doing my best, and I'm doing and my work is sufficient. But I'm getting people money, and it's always 1 to the 5th to the 7th person that's grateful that I'm there, and I'm fitting to drag somebody. So I'm being honest.
You hear that?
So I'm like, it was this one particular, and it is just wild because I'm working with people that not only was ungrateful, but probably wasn't, if not as smart as me, not as hardworking, definitely.
Okay.
So it became to where, I was so highly annoyed. Like, why am I here? Why everywhere I go, I got to deal with some nonsense, and I'm doing my job, and they're halfway doing their job, and I'm saving the company money. I'm saving the company, and it just got to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't have to do this. I don't have to be here.
Right.
So I want to say October of 2013, that's when I started the company, because I prepped the year, just going forward from 2012. And once again, I jumped out there. I said, you know what, God, I'm doing this business. Not knowing as much for the ERO position. Okay. And that's where it falls along.
So tell us what the ERO is.
The ERO is an enrolled participant tax preparer that is allowed to take out my company fee, with permission with IRS. So all companies, H&R Block, Liberty Tax, are EROs. The main person is the ERO.
Right.
So even me going forward with that, the first thing I said was, I done been around a lot of coins, the brightest coin they can be. I'm being politically correct. Okay?
Right.
So I know how, they roll. Everything has to be paperwork. So I'm old school. So a lot of my experience is on hands and years of experience versus certificate.
Right.
So I said, well, let me go ahead and go to PG and get this accounting certificate.
Okay.
I knew accounting, but you want to have something on paper.
Right.
I will say from that experience, because when I got in there, it was an older teacher, this older white guy. He said, well, we're going to learn the ledger. And I said, oh, that'll be a lie. Right. I'm not doing that. I'm not learning ledger. I'm going to buy the top quality machine. I'm going to buy the software to count my dough.
And do all it.
But because it was so difficult. And I'm like, man, but it humbled me in a sense in the following. To know the root of something is the best thing.
Absolutely.
So passing that class, when I said, okay, I got the P10 license, what makes me any different? So I said, let me learn that 1040. So I humbled my position and went to a Liberty class.
Okay.
But with the knowledge of I'm going to be our ERO. Right. I walked in like that. And every time you walk in on a promise that you have, there's going to be people gunning for you.
Right.
Automatically. It wasn't even the person that ran the class, it was her husband.
Okay.
He was eating too many soft donuts, and he was a little nasty sourpuss. But that wasn't going to take away from the point that I said I am going to be an ERO. Because you were there
for a mission.
Yeah, I was there for a mission. And she, like many companies, they're like, well, you're going to work with us. No, I am the company. I'm going to be the company. Kind of working with companies and working with anyone, the same thing that you're trying to do. There's always a mutual respect with me. I sometimes don't experience it, and that's fine. You can just kick left with that. But I come in very humble. Like, listen, I think if just not my presence, just my drive will be acceptable enough.
Right.
And if you can graciously accept me, I'm graciously going to listen to you and accept me.
Right.
So going in there and whatever I had to endure with her salty husband being mad in the background, I learned that E40 and I learned that 1040.
Right.
And that's something I always tell the people, especially the ones that work for me. You learn that 1040, you good to go.
Right.
Because I get that all the time. How you start doing taxes? It's not as hard as you think.
Right.
Because again, blindly, I jumped out there like, oh, I got this company. I got this company. Ran into a little adversity, but I was determined, like, this company is going to start on time, and it did.
Okay.
And it did because, again, I was just determined, and I think I stepped out on a promise.
Well, I think that is that's a very important piece is the determination, because that is what will push you forward. Like you said, you were determined to do it. And the other thing that I thought was very interesting that you brought out was that you're a hard worker. And that's something that I've seen just in watching from the background. You work hard, you're diligent at what you do, but, well, not but, the great thing about that is I think people who are like that need to work for themselves, because when you look at how much you put in, if you're putting in that much for someone else, to work for someone else, imagine what you would do for yourself.
Exactly.
And that's how I look at, I think that's a great entrepreneurial characteristic to have.
Now, the irony of this is that I had to, and I think this year I've gotten a little better at it. And again, this is my 4th tax season. I've been doing taxes for 7 years. Deprogramming the standard working 9 to 5 and being an employee is very hard to do, but it's necessary. And I get it when I tell people, because I'm still learning the off switch or the off time, because in the beginning, there's just no
you gotta
off.
go, right?
Not the way I feel.
Right.
So I know I can recall me helping a business, running a business, being a managerial type of position with a business, dealing with customers. You know, I had a solid armor. When I started doing the business myself, I became so hypersensitive. And I didn't know why, because now it's my business.
Right, it's your business, your baby.
That toughening my skin had to begin at that point. This year it's gotten a lot better because, and I love to share my experience with business owners of each year of my experience, just starting and jumping out there. Because the first year when you say, I'm leaving corporate, that's it, and you move on it, you experience so many things. And I do say, like, when I normally slow down, that's why you probably see me work so hard on several avenues. Do I say I have the niche? No. Do I have it all stacked, ready, and where it's flowing easy? No. The drive and determination, yes, is there. The planning, yes, is there. So each time I've slowed down and I've had to, get a part-time job, I walk in the same way. Hey, you know, I run a business and, you know, I'm just here for seasonal. It has to be understood that once I do this, I'm going to that. And people will look at me like, why are you here? You don't look like you belong here. And, you know, I mean, I try not to have that. I know my worth, you know, but I try not to have that arrogant sense of I'm coming in high horse, right. You know, versus you know me still, because my service to any place is always going to be a good access, but it's also keeping me in check with my business. I'm either going to fade that out and continue to pump harder into mine, or find a better way to work. Not work, you know, harder, work smarter. So I mean, yeah, my experience each year so far has been very different. When I kind of hit the wall with one adversity that's either came back or not, there was another sluice hole to go around it, or for me to say, you know what, get up and pin on this. And every time I've jumped out there and went on a goal and was determined, it has so far fell into place.
Well, that's good. And like I said, again, the determination to me is the key, because you are determined to move forward and to get things done. So let me ask you this. How would you advise someone who's in the beauty industry to find or go about finding a tax professional? Because one of the things that I notice with dealing with a lot of stylists is, number one, stylists and barbers, let me say, not just stylists, but number one, that we don't pay our taxes as we should.
Right.
You know, and then we find ourselves in a bind when we try to go get things. But before we go into that, I'm sorry, we need to take a break real quick, and we'll be back in just a moment.
All right.
With my guest, Rachel Gaskins of Celestial Tax Services here in Washington, D.C.
All right.
All right. All right, so we're back. I'm here with my special guest, Rachel Gaskins of Celestial Tax Service right here in Washington, D.C. And so we left off with a question. The question was, how would you suggest that a beauty professional here in the district go about finding a good tax professional?
Okay, well, first, because I used to have a salon and used to do hair and had to file taxes. There's two parts with that. Some salon owners and some stylists like myself have regular jobs and do styling and have a salon on as secondary.
Right.
With a W-2 wage reporting, it's easier, to do it because you're collecting wages. You have an established institute along with you doing hair. Now, if you don't have that, before you select a preparer, you have to know yourself. You have to know, are you responsible enough to save receipts? Are you equipped like how you would equip yourself behind your chair with the correct items and systems and programs and just services going past for saving for anything of a personal use for yourself. So you have to know yourself first, and what are you equipped with? If you don't have the correct equipped knowledge, which you need, then that's when you start to look. When you start to look for someone that's going to assist you all year. I run into, and it is a pet peeve of mine, where people all of a sudden at the end of the year, I do taxes.
Right.
It irritates me. So you want to prepare it that's going to ride and guide you, ride with you all the way through till your wheels fall off and guide you correctly. So if it's anything that you are looking forward to or you're desiring, whether it be your credit going higher, whether you want to purchase a home, whether you want to get a car, where you're looking to plan for more babies, go get married. You want a preparer that's going to discuss all aspects and see where you're at. If you know you're not good at saving receipts, that's where you're going to get pulled and say, girl, say your receipts.
Right.
If you know that you're not good with saving money, that's what you're going to get pulled and say, how can I assist you with that? Because let's be clear, a preparer that meets you where you're at has been where you're at. So you definitely want to get someone that's going to be knowledgeable and assist you with that. So know yourself first, and then know that, once you know what you want, know what's needed, what you don't have, then you can go to a person like myself and say, listen, this is the goal. This is what I'm trying to do. I need assistance in doing that. Right.
Okay, so now you also share with me that you assist with credit repair.
Yes.
And so that is really important because, I find in our business, so many of us have either no credit or low credit.
Yes.
And I'm not going to tell you what I attribute it to, but I'll just say low credit and no credit. And then, so when we go to buy cars or, because we like fabulous stuff.
Yes.
We like fabulous stuff, And so we want to have a cute car. We want to have a cute house. But then when we go up to the car dealership, we don't have no money.
Right.
And they're like, oh, okay, so nice to meet you. Where are your 2 pay stubs and, any bank statements or whatever? And you're looking crazy like,
exactly.
I don't have a...
Or you got the money.
Well, right, because most
you
times
looking like
you
the
have
plug.
the money.
You're looking like the plug, so they want to know if you all fish out.
But so what do you do in that? Tell us about the credit repair.
Okay, so my credit repair, shout out to Miss King. I give her, I'm telling you, she makes me smile every time I talk about her because she just fixed my credit twice, as a business owner. I utilized her some years ago.
Okay.
And when I say, before I used her, I used other avenues.
Okay.
The certain companies who consolidated.
Right.
Certain people say, I know how to fix your credit. It's one of them again. I ran into them again.
Right.
I know how to fix your credit, and all you got to do is do this, and I had bad experiences with that. I even fixed some of my credit,
Okay.
but that takes time.
Exactly.
And the time that I did it, it was within 2 years. I did get some things off.
Okay.
The other stuff I couldn't. So when I utilized Miss King, let me tell you, she's a force to be reckoned with.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. She was very persistent, consistent, and she was very direct with her services, what I had to pay, very knowledgeable. She is definitely for credit repair, credit restoration, rehabilitation. She does not advocate for bankruptcy. I'm not going to say that I've never done a bankruptcy or I haven't done one, but that is a last result that she doesn't even take upon herself. She would even reference you out because there is a way. She's been doing this for so many years. And I think at one point she did do accounting and taxes at one point, but she's been doing credit repair for so many years. She took the responsible time to not only learn how to service yourself credit-wise and how to correctly if not maintain your accounts, correct your accounts. She knows every aspect of how something's done when it's a light pull, a heavy pull. She gives credit counseling. You know, I mean, she is truly the truth. And not only that, she gives back community-wise. She participates of a lot of things locally near her. That's in Virginia, and she gives back. Okay. And that action alone has already inspired me to do something else I'm working with my business on. Okay. So she's very good. The credit program we have is jumping again this year. It's been so successful. I'm very proud to say that I have 2 people who have been my clients for a couple of years. They've obtained homes now. Like I'm working on purchasing a home soon. So, I mean, it's just wonderful.
Well, that's good because then what we'll do also, we'll have you present your information and then as well as Ms. King's information for those who may be in either one of the 2 markets who may need assistance with that, because I think that it's very important to have someone, like you said, who's knowledgeable, who really knows the ins and outs of that business, because it is not something like you said, oh, I just woke up, you know what, I know how to do, I can repair your credit. No, because I feel like if you're that way, you probably know no more than what I do. And most people, like I was of the mind, you can fix your own credit, which you probably can. But like you said, it may take you a long time to actually go through all of those things. But to have somebody who's knowledgeable, who actually knows the ins and outs of it, who can be honest with you and say, you know what, you may need to pay this off. Right. You know, I can help you with this and honestly be able to help you. Don't just say you can help me.
I remember there was a particular account that I had, and this is when I had employed her and say, hey, let's partner up. I had a particular account on there, and I said, look, this is not going nowhere. I'm just going to pay. She said, don't do nothing. Don't do anything. I got it. I'll take care of it. And when I say she took care of it, because she is like myself, she's going to entertain something that's difficult. She's going to go by the bylaws. She's going to investigate. She's going to look into. And that's something that I know I do myself. Like every year, there's new knowledge coming out tax-wise. There's new credits, things that are starting and ending. So you have to take it upon yourself to be knowledgeable of those things. Versus if you've been doing taxes with some years, and you know, you know, donations. We just talked about that. You know, donations. You know, that's all they know. Right. You know, so you know, I cringe every time I hear that. Because, you know, it doesn't mean because you've been doing it that long that, you know, you're still that efficient or you don't know, you know better than everything else.
There is a reason for continuing education. Yeah. And I'm going to leave it there. Right. There's a reason for it. Okay. So how would you schedule? Now, we know that there are several different schedules to which you can pay your taxes on. How would you present, or how would you say, or how would you tell a beauty industry professional to pay, or what schedule to use to pay their taxes? How would you advise them with that?
Gotcha. The schedule that is generally that's the most common in use is the Schedule C, or the Schedule CEZ. So that is going to kind of show what you spent, what you made, and your loss. That's something I monitor, if it's not with myself, with a lot of my clients that own businesses, because like now I've invested in another business starting past week. So there's monetary money that I'm investing in, and you're looking to get something back out. So like I tell every cosmetologist or barber, anything that you've purchased for the year, your supplies, and you have a service, a standard concrete service, and you had to either do a return, you've had cancellations, you've had to do a discount. A lot of our discount times come through slower times.
Right.
That is considered a loss. You know, for the ending of the year where you spent maybe $500 in products, and you didn't utilize all of the products, and if you do a value market or value towards it, you probably used about $200 of the $500, so that $300, that's considered. Well, not necessarily less. It's a carryover of goods.
Okay, so you're carrying over to the
you're
next year,
carrying over, right? Because if you're expecting to have a big year and you put that money out for that, because it is best to be more prepared than less. That's something you want to get a benefit over. So that's going to fall on the Schedule C as well.
Okay. So now someone who's in the beauty industry, would you advise them to pay their taxes, say, every 6 months versus a year, or just a year? Like, what would you think would be ideal for someone?
This sometimes does depend on, and this is when you're meeting with your tax preparer. Again, if there's a beauty cosmetologist, barber who has a W-2 working alongside their Schedule C, they can choose to pay theirs at the end of the year because they have paid money into their tax account.
Right.
When you do a Schedule C, your estimated taxes are going to come out of that. Now, if you have a lot of write-offs along with credits, you can choose to pay at the end of the year. Now, if you're like myself, where I don't have young children, I have these businesses. A lot of stylists, they are just themselves. You can do an estimate to pay into your tax account. You can estimate how much you think you're going to make within that year, and estimate how much you want to pay each month. Now, I generally tell my people to look at it as like a phone bill to pay. You can pay $150 to $180 into your tax account. And the quarterly thing I don't like doing. Because
now, why is that?
I don't like doing it because it could be just a psychological thing where if we get those types of bills, it becomes I think we kind of like string away from it to where we will wholeheartedly not pay it.
Right, okay.
So if it's something you do every month, like a car payment, you're most likely to remember it. Yeah, you'd be more consistent with it. IRS would say, oh, do it quarterly. I never, this just from my experience, I wouldn't suggest it, but I never did it quarterly. I always would pay at the end of the year because at that time I had 2 children and I was working. So I could get away with that. If you're independent like myself, it's best to calculate and do a guesstimation. IRS can help you with an estimate, but it's best to do your own and it's not that hard, or your preparer can assist you with that. Call IRS, say, hey, where can I send these payments in for my tax account? They're going to be like, oh, yeah, great. How you want to do it?
Send me your money, right?
Give me the bag. Give me this stuff. And the only thing I would just, with them, just kind of guide them to say, hey, I don't want to do quarterly. I want to do it every month. Because, again, it's the comfortability of you. Now, some people may want to do it quarterly. Some people may want to do that. Some people may want to just pay at the end of the year. They may take their state tax and say, okay, I'll just pay IRS off with that. It's to your discretion. I just know for myself, because if you got a lot of things going on like me, I'd rather have that bill in front of me.
I agree. Personally, I like a consistent bill. Sidebar, like I have issue with my what do you call it, car insurance, because they will say, I'm like, didn't I pay that? And they're like, sir, well, it's only due every 3 months. And I'm like, well, didn't I pay it? So I had to do switch it to the monthly thing. I was like, I can't do this quarterly anymore. I need monthly.
Because you're looking at the amount. The amount is always going to get you.
Right.
So, yeah.
There you go. Okay, so let's see. How should a person prepare to go see their tax professional? So, like, what things do they need to gather before they go?
Now, with myself, everyone's going to say, of course, receipts. But again, as a home, if not a homeowner, home base, maker or provider or whatever, and the same way if you have children, there's a ledger that you normally keep with bills and things of that sort. So in preparation, my company, I have a company application that you fill out, and it's a little detailed when it comes to your receipts, what you made for the year, what you spent, things of that sort. So the days of kind of just, I'm getting a whole box of receipts and here you go. Because you come in my office with, I'm going to say, sit there and count it. You know what I mean? Like,
break that down.
I don't have time for these things. I don't, I'm not participating in that. So, you might as well. So you could be at home, you can count your receipts up.
Right.
If you don't want to count your receipts, there are a lot of apps that will snap your receipts and they'll add them up for you. I've done that, because I was the one with the bag of receipts. I just got out of that habit, like literally this year.
I'm a spreadsheet person, so but it took me a minute to get there because it was those years of, you buy products, you stick it in the drawer. It's like, where'd that receipt go? That's so too many things lost. So I just learned personally, I was like, if I take these receipts home, my spreadsheet would say home. If I take these receipts, if I can just get them home, I'm good, because then I can do it. So that is my general, go-to, because then I can take that and say, well, here's my email of my spreadsheet for the year, or, however I'm going to pay, and have at it.
And shout out to my customers that do that. Because I have a couple of customers. I'm like, my customers know that I have customers, they'll hear two things from me. I'll say, thank you so much for that spreadsheet and your records. And then the other thing they'll hear from me is saying, thank you so much for paying taxes into your tax account.
Okay.
Because this was so easy.
Making it so much easier.
Oh my gosh. Like, because my eye is so catchy now. I can look at the W-2 and tell you either had your exemptions up high or you paid some taxes. Right. Because I can look at your AGI and tell now.
And
so,
See, that's good. Okay, so let's see. Now, this was a good one. So we talked about, privately, we talked about classifying your business, into the different classifications. So does your classification make a difference in how you pay your taxes? So whether or not you're an S Corp, or LLC, sole proprietor, does that make a difference in how you pay your taxes?
Only, I want to say state-wise.
Okay.
I want to say, because I'm familiar with D.C. and Maryland. I have two businesses registered in D.C. and in Maryland. So when it comes to sole proprietor and LLC, let's just use those two examples. Those are the main examples. Sole proprietor is always best for the small business and the startup business. And the reason being is because it is generally just you. You don't have any employees as of yet. If you do employ someone, it's contracted out, which is good because you're growing. You can kind of write that off. LLC, when you are registering it, it's an entity that is acknowledged highly by your state. So DC, I believe, is every 2 years or 3 years. I think Maryland is every year. So there's a good standing you have to be in. So they are requiring you to file it's more like a financial declaration, and it costs $200 or $300 either every year or every 2 years. If you are a startup business, that is an additional bill with you. So you're already, because you're already dealing with registering your name every year to 2 years or more.
Right.
Your licensings, if any, and if you don't register or file this form, it will have your business out of good standing, and so the legal entity of your business will not be valid. LLC is definitely something you want to do if it protects you if you have big assets. If you start off with a lot of money, if people invested into your company and you have a lot of properties, a lot of equipment, and regarding anything, and you want to protect it, and you don't want your services or your property to kind of go past the business and come into your personal. When you own a home, you have cars, and you have money in the bank, that's when the LLC is best for you because it protects you when you decide to either make a big business or you grow into a big business. It protects you for anything coming out of that to come into your personal.
Right.
But if you're just starting out, there's no real need to, in my opinion, register as an LLC. I've done that. I did that. I did that when I first did my first salon. I'm an LLC.
Right, because I think it's common because when people are used to seeing it. So, what they do is they say, oh, I want to be an LLC because that's the business, classification that we're used to seeing. But like you said, as we break it down, the sole proprietor is pretty much what it's saying. It's sole business owner, so you are the one.
You're the one.
And then beyond that, the LLC is the limited liability company. So what you're doing, or what it does, is it kind of separates you personally from your business. So if anything happens with your business, if you suffer major loss or anything, say you a lawsuit, God forbid, someone sues your company, they're going to sue the LLC, the company, which protects you, the individual, so you don't end up losing your house, your car.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't. I think they, when they start businesses, because again, I did it, and then you have to understand this: you can always change your entity. You can downgrade it. You can go back and upgrade it if need be. My second business, I upgraded to an LLC because it's dealing with government contract.
Okay.
I'm about to deal with a lot of other aspects like background checks and drug testing. So if I'm going to be petitioning for government contracts and company contracts, that has to be an LLC. Starting out, big or not. My tax company, we have insurance and things of that sort, but I have it as a sole proprietor because it's steady growing.
Right.
It is steady growing, and what always amazes me when people talk to me about my business or how I register it or do it, everyone's need and will and ideal is just different. It's just different, because I see people that start a business and they're LLC. I mean, you don't got no big money like that.
Right. And so
you ain't got no big money like that. You're starting off. It's no need to do that as of right now. So know the hopeful benefits and what benefits you and your business in its timing. Because in a business aspect, there may be some things where you upgrade, you downgrade. Some, God forbid, with some businesses, you may have to let go. My first year, I had the salon, I had the building, and I downgrade because when the year came up and I'm still working, was it feasible for me to still have a building and I'm paying a building rent and my rent and stuff like that? It just wasn't feasible. So you had to be smart. And I know the feeling when people do that. They don't want to feel like they're losing. They don't want to feel like they're losing,
Hit the never mind.
Button.
No, you have to end the call. It's fine.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're back. We had a momentary interruption. So that's good. So, and one thing I think really important that you said was that you can change the classification or the registration, and then you don't have to feel, you shouldn't feel bad about that. You know, it's not, to me, it's not, it doesn't particularly say anything about your capability as the business. You know, businesses ebbs and flows. You know, you have to go with it, and sometimes you do, like you said, you may need to downgrade, like you did with your building. You know, you downgrade that, but then 5 years later, you never know. You have this influx, and now I'm ready to move into something large.
Exactly.
You know? So I think we have to not be afraid of those changes, especially when it comes to business.
I will say this, I'm a sidebar a little bit off from that. It is very important. Again, this is my 4th year with this company. I am always continuous. If people watch me, they know I'm continuously growing. I get an idea, I move on it. I'm not afraid to fail. You can't be afraid to fail. Sidebarring this note, it is very important to have support. Support is very key, because when you do a business off of your own, off from a already mindset of a 9 to 5, already, you know, because I think in this world we are built kind of robotic with that. If you miss the mark on something, I don't want to say just fail. If you miss the mark on something, it can play on your psyche and your emotions. So, and I only say that because I am if I want to say I'm a survivor of that, I am, because and consistently, you know, that's something that plays on your mind all the time when you have to do a change, because you're already dealing with jumping out there with the courage, and you're dealing with if someone's not coming at you, you know, discouraging you, or if fear is not already there, issue. Those are things that will arrest you in your fear at that moment, and you'll get discouraged, you know, and then you'll lack off your business. You may not want to do. I'm gonna tell you, there's times where I said, you know what, I don't know if I want to do this, and I would say with the salon or doing taxes, and I'll tell you what gets me going back. Okay, when it used to be with the salon, if I felt like, you know, I'm at a point where, oh, you know, I don't know. Every time I went to a hair salon, not a hair salon, beauty supply store, and I got excited, I knew, I still want to do it. I still want to do it. When it comes to the taxes in any business, what made me, or what makes me still say, hey, I want to do it, is when I talk to my customers. You know, I talked to a customer Friday. She gave me more encouragement than she realized. You know, and I'm listening to her story, and she was encouraging me right along as we were speaking, because I was already in my mind thinking of another aspect of income, and, you know, should I do this? Can I do this? And she affirmed a lot of what I was everything. So sidebarring, all that to say, support is key. Support is key, because people think it's a joke. When you jump out there to start a business, you wonder why sometimes they do fail. It's not all the time just money. Right. It's the momentum has gone. Something has stolen the focus, or you know, just the plan. And it can be it can be discouragement. It can be anything.
Well, I think of all of that, you know, one important point is resiliency. You have to be resilient, because anytime that you're a business owner, or like you're a sole operator of, you know, any type of business, everything falls on you. So then when you have those little moments of, like you said, we won't say a
you know, not seen. And I have company insurance for that. If there's anything I've done on my part incorrect, my insurance and myself, we have to take responsibility of because I'm a company. I'm official. So, you know.
Say I got my stuff in order.
I'm in order. So, you know, I got to take responsibility for that. I get caught for everything else. I get if I drag somebody, I'm going to jail.
Lord have mercy.
I'm going to court.
She's back to dragging folks.
God, I'm used to tagging. So, I mean, yeah, that's how that is. So, that's just, you know, professionally, I like to be like, I'm close to my clients, but I sometimes I feel like I have to let people know, please let's not get on the, let's not disrespect me when it comes to something like that.
Right.
That's just like if someone comes in here. It's no need, because we saving lives out here, and we gonna always want to keep your life safe. Okay, that's just like if someone coming in and saying they want to talk to you about how you're doing their hair, lady, ma'am, sit in the chair. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great evening with my guest here, Miss Rachel Gaskins of Celestial Tax Service. Tell us one more time how we can find you.
You can find me on Facebook, Celestial Tax Service. IG, you can go to my website, www.celestialtaxservice.org or .com, or call me at 202-413-2905.
And check out the boutique. Check out the booth, check out the headband, you know, get into everything.
Get into photo frame boutique. We appreciate you,
baby. All right, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for indulging our few extra minutes this evening. But I thought it was great information that needed to be presented. So, thank you again. If you enjoyed the presentation, let us see all the stuff that goes across the screen. I won't. Thank you, everybody. I see the hearts. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you for tuning in and watching and taking heed. So if you need a good tax preparer, you know where to find her.
Yes.
Ta-da! All right. See you later. Thanks.
Bye, guys.